I'm here to the home of Jan Svalica champion and of course Ferrari's biggest fan. And now, happy birthday, happy wedding anniversary, celebrating Jan Svalica champion. Oh yay! So you guys, welcome over here. Welcome to our traditional series. We will take a look at the sprint reaction, our third sprint reaction over here of the 2024 Formula 1 season, which of course takes place from the place which is closest to where I was born. How convenient it is, right? Isn't it? For our happy birthday, we will talk about that sprint at the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring. And yeah, obviously we would love to be celebrating. I mean, we just won a brilliant race, racing our open season, which everything you can see on the YouTube channel. And again, that gives you so much joy. You can see what a wonderful celebrations there are, and obviously driving, the tracks with this SF1000, Scuderia Ferrari T818 Formula 1 racing simulator is so much fun. But I have to say, to be honest, even though obviously I just had a fantastic couple of days celebrating the happy birthday, and it's so wonderful also with the wedding anniversary, as you can see here behind us. It's just a dream come true, to have such a great time, but it is not a dream come true to watch the Formula 1 racing at this very moment. I have to be honest, as the Ferrari's biggest fan. So over here, you can let me know what you think about the sprint and what the Ferraris can do in a race. But obviously, that's one of the most disappointing results of the season, which happened on my birthday. Thankfully, we watched it on a rerun, so we haven't spoiled our perfect happy birthday run, right? Of course. So you guys, over here, we will give you our reaction to the sprint, and then we will take a look at the standings, the final results of the sprint, and then obviously driver standings and the constructor standings. So here, wearing our beautiful Ferrari fashion, we thought, okay, that the Ferraris were going to be very, very strong here in the sprint. Especially remember how brilliant we were, for example, in the 2022 when we, for example, even Carlos Sainz, if he wouldn't retire during that race, he could have easily gotten Verstappen, and we were just dominating. We were very, very strong. But I feel, already from last year and to this year, we've just gotten slower at this circuit, which is really, really disappointing. So why is that? Well, I guess a lot of it, has to do with the fact that maybe the characteristics of the Ferrari car, have changed a little bit. So obviously the 90-degree turns, and the hard riding curbs, which is essential over here to getting, that brilliant lap time, is not the strength of the Ferraris anymore. And to be perfectly honest, obviously nowadays with the new track limits, you also have to be a little bit careful, so you cannot, take it much to the limit, which I think limited, especially maybe Charles Leclerc a little bit, even though he was very, very unlucky in the qualifying, and who knows what he could have done, without that problem with making that final qualifying lap for the sprint. Obviously, he could have been, for example, maybe third, right? So, the difference nowadays was only 3 or 4 tenths from the first Red Bull Verstappen to the 8th Red Bull Perez. So again, that's easy to get if you just go a little bit harder on the brakes, and if you send it to a couple of turns and make it stick. So the start was actually quite exciting. I thought the first 5 laps of the sprint was really, really cool. I really like the fact that we started obviously from 5th to 10th, and the great thing was that Sainz was then able to obviously get ahead of Russell and run forth. I thought, okay, let's challenge maybe Piastri, who seemed the weaker of the two McLarens. But that wasn't simply possible. It was more a fight between the home sort of a hero, right, at the Red Bull, with Verstappen fighting against the two McLarens, especially against Norris. I think Norris once again showed poor racecraft, because once you overtake, you always have to defend the inside. He didn't, and obviously lost the position sadly there to Verstappen, who then went on to win. Piastri obviously overtook Norris, but the disappointing part from the Ferrari standpoint was that obviously after 5 laps, the sprint settled in. So the remaining 18 laps weren't so exciting. Apart from the fact that Russell got on Sainz, I think that's one of the issues with Carlos, that he needs to make sure that he keeps it up. Great effort. Sometimes being very strong at the start is brilliant, but you gotta make sure that you keep up that brilliant pace, and for example get at this sprint podium. Leclerc did a great job at the start, pretty much from I think lap 3 already, running 7th and stayed there. I was hoping that he would challenge his future teammate Lewis Hamilton, but that simply didn't happen. So a lot of it was down to the qualifying, a lot of it was down to the fact that everybody had the same tires. As I learned, for example, maybe using the soft tires could have been maybe a better option, but then again, it was hot, it was sunny, so everybody went on a mediums, right? Same strategy, no safety cars, so that's pretty much how it finished. Unlike our own sprint at this race, which you can definitely watch, which was much more exciting. So I think I'm quite disappointing, because obviously it was on my birthday and our happy wedding anniversary. We wanted to see a Ferrari win. This would be one of the tracks where we would hope that we could definitely get it, but the pace simply wasn't there. We finished roughly 10 seconds behind, so I'm losing about roughly half a second per lap. So we will see what happens in the Grand Prix, but if we have a really good qualifying, that is very important, because from a really good qualifying position, especially in a sprint, you can have a really good start, and then pretty much it settles down. So you gotta be really active, I would say, in the first 3 to 5 laps. Make your statement, and then usually you will be fine. So overall, we will see. You can see with the overall standings, obviously it doesn't look so good, and to be honest, I'm not sure what exactly to expect of the Ferrari season heading now, almost to the second half, because we've got that pecking order looks like we are having problems beating McLarens and Mercedes-Benzes, which shouldn't be the case, because Red Bulls, they are not very strong at the moment, and that's really good, because again, there is a great possibility we could go for a constructors. But let's see how the standings look like with this beautiful red Ferrari, red Retina iMac, and the track. It's brilliant. That's the last thing I would like to say, that it's a great place to go and visit and see Formula One in action, and maybe I'll be there for my birthday, or because it always happens around my birthday, and hopefully we will see Ferrari win, of course. Maybe I would have to be driving, because I usually always finish on the podium here. So are you guys ready to see it? Of course. So you guys, let me turn this beautiful red Ferrari iMac for you. So this is how the sprint finished. Here we can see that obviously, Verstappen, once he fended off the McLarens, he was able to finish in front of them. It's interesting that Piastri obviously finished in front of Norris. That must have hurt him. Carlos Sainz over here, what a pity, lost the position to George, but you only lose 1 point, and Charles from 10 to 7. I guess that was the best we could hope for, but again, that he was never able to challenge Hamilton. That was a little bit disappointing, right? So over here, let's now check out how it looks like over here in the Drivers' Championship. So at the moment, Charles is at 150 points, Carlos at 120, which means that because Verstappen's leading with 227, they are 77 and 107 points behind. So, Carlos probably will have to play the second fiddle with Charles. We will see. Norris now has 6 points on him, and the situation doesn't look so rosy, right? For the rest of the drivers, Perez kind of losing the pace, and others like Piastri, Russell, Hamilton not having 100 points. They're pretty much out of it, but they're being very strong in the races. So, I would say it's far from over. In the Constructors' Championship, however, we can see that we are 63 points behind Red Bull. So, despite, relatively poor performance, because Perez only finished 8, we haven't actually lost many points to Red Bull. So it's looking good, but, with the McLaren lurching there with 250, we have to take them seriously now. We will see what happens the rest of the season. Mercedes-Benz, Aston Martin are behind us, so it will be very important, as you can see over here, to then obviously make sure that we will indeed be able to not only keep up the pace, but to get closer to the chasing pack, because a lot of exciting races, a lot of fights for a victory. You can see that it's a very close, pretty much, and it's great to see Red Bull challenged, and hopefully Ferraris will be there, starting with the Grand Prix, which will happen just the day after my birthday, when I'm 37, which is the age that Michael Schumacher retired. So let's make him proud, the biggest Ferrari hero. Let's make Jan the Smiling Sun champion proud. Go Ferraris, come on, let's qualify, in at least, if not on a pole position, the top 2 rows, and let's go for a victory, so it can be a super happy birthday and a perfect wedding anniversary. Go Ferrari, go! Let's not give up. In a real race, we will show our true colors.